This mouse was cursed from the start. Multiple reports of motion delay in wireless mode meant that this was just a glorified wired mouse. After firmware updates, is the Cooler Master MM731 now a good mouse, or is it a bit like myself, a constant disappointment? Let's have a look at it in a bit more detail. This is a small to medium sized mouse. As a comparison, it actually puts it at just 2mm longer than the glorious Model D- for a total of 122mm. So those wanting something a bit smaller might find this a decent choice. It's also incredibly lightweight, with it just weighing 59 grams, and that's also without any holes in the shell. Despite its lightweight design, its structural integrity seems to be pretty decent, with it not having any noticeable weak areas in the shell, nor are there any signs of creaking when giving it a tight squeeze. So it seems to be rather high quality, but is this harbouring a dark secret? As it's an ergonomic mouse, it's designed to get it up close and personal to your hand, the right hand. As someone that prefers these types of designs, it's a good shape but slightly too small, as my fingers do hang over the edge a bit. However, this doesn't cause me an issue that often when using it in game. I just adjust my grip slightly to compensate for it and it remains comfortable. It has a bit of a resemblance to the Zowie EC2. The MM731, however, has more flare on the sides, so it goes out more on the lower half of the mouse and in more as it reaches the centre. Vertically it is shorter, and the curve of the main hump is a lot less centred than the EC2. The mouse can also be used for claw grip users, which, combined with a shorter length, should be a good choice and make it a bit more comfortable. The coating is a soft matte but can suffer greatly from dirt buildup. However, it might be because I am a very sweaty gamer and it got hot in England for a record 4 days. If you're not a fan of the coating, you get some grip stickers to help. Lastly, in terms of aesthetics, there's this little Cooler Master logo that lights up a bit, and that's all. Hopefully this helps you during mating season. This mouse is also using LK optical switches, which are rated for 70 million clicks. These are actually very nice. I don't know of any other mice using these switches, but they're really good. They aren't as crisp as some others around, but in terms of optical switches, I'd say that they're one of the best that I've used. Because of the more prominent inward curve as well, the side buttons are slightly harder to reach, especially this one. The scroll wheel is also rather peculiar, but before I go into that, the scroll wheel itself is actually good. Great notches, so the scroll's fine. The mouse 3 switch is consistent and great, so it is a good scroll wheel, but over the scroll wheel is just a piece of rubber on the outside of it. You can take it off. I'm not sure on the lifespan of having a scroll wheel this way. Surely it just adds to something that can go wrong with it. To me, it's like it's a scroll wheel that's just got a glove on. Okay, so a quick update. There was a comment that I saw on Reddit about the scroll wheel. Basically, someone said that the rubber would actually just move and the wheel itself wouldn't, because they're two separate things. I originally thought this person must be wrong, because I like the scroll wheel when it's not what I wanted to hear. I first noticed this when scrolling through each step individually, which happened in Minecraft of all games. Yeah, I play Minecraft, so what? It's where I live a better life. And as you can see in this Word document, for an example, my finger is moving, but the scroll isn't scrolling. It's easily reproducible if you just use a light touch on the scroll wheel, so if you're gentle, you will have this problem. When you flip the mouse over, you have the power Bluetooth 2.4 GHz modes and a DPI cycle. You also get some nice PTFE feet as well, and you also get a sensor ring. The bottom cover sticker also has a bit of a lump to it which scrapes against my mousepad. I didn't actually notice the scraping, thankfully, but it does explain why some of it's a bit faded out. There is software available, and I will say it's required to make sure your mouse is updated to the latest firmware version that rids the mouse of this disease known as motion delay that plagued it on release. Once you've installed the software and updated the firmware, you can then uninstall it if you please. However, there may be another reason why you have to install the software for this, but before that, the software itself is alright. It's like most companies that have various hardware offerings where they create a hub software so all your peripherals are the same brand or in sync and stuff. So basically it's cluttered in places. The actual configuration of the mouse is filled with all the basic features and a few extra ones like surface tuning. Now, I ran into a little problem with one feature of the mouse which caused me a moment of sheer terror. Allow me to paint the picture. You're scoped in, but you have to hold mouse 2 button to keep it zoomed in, and then you see an enemy. So you use your mouse 3 button to ping that dastardly fiend to your teammates so they know that there is one afoot. Suddenly your sensitivity has doubled and you're left sprinting around like someone who's using an aimbot but without the aim. This is on by default and it's called mouse combo. You might want to turn it off here. The sensor inside this thing is a Pixar 3370, which is one of the highest range sensors that you can get. It's very energy efficient as well, which helps give it a battery life of around 72 hours. If your mouse runs out of the juice, do not fear, as the cable is a very lightweight one. It's honestly not a drawback when you have to plug it in. But obviously you won't keep it plugged in because you paid more for the wireless version. And another nice addition which I really like with wireless mice, if they include it, is that there's a little USB dongle port on the underside of the mouse. There is one other interesting aspect to this mouse, which is the sensor placement. It actually sits a bit higher up. There is another mouse that does this, I believe, which is the Orochi V2. I feel this is actually decent for those that maybe make micro adjustments more with their wrists when aiming, and for those that are raising an eyebrow, do not worry, as I have not found that this causes an issue at all. I didn't have to get used to it or anything. I didn't even notice it was this way until I flipped the mouse over. So this mouse is ticking a lot of boxes, so I certainly believe that it deserves another chance to be held by your greasy, Cheeto covered hands. I cannot vouch for what the mouse was like on release, as I didn't own it then, but my personal experience is that this is a really good mouse at this moment in time. There are some dubious aspects, such as the scroll wheel wearing a rubber glove, but the rest of the mouse is great. Maybe if I were to nitpick, the shape could be a little bit more comfortable. When I've been playing with it, it's been very comfortable. The mouse has felt great on all the mouse pads I have tried with it as well, so it's really hard to find an issue here. The pricing for this varies, so I'm not going to give you exact numbers, but it's sitting around the same price as other wireless mice with the same sensor, which I think is perfectly fair. It's not even reaching the triple digits either, so it's at a good price point, I feel. This has the benefit as well of having no holes in the shell, so if that's something that doesn't sit right with you, well, here you go, it's a holeless mouse. So yeah, I'd say it's worth giving it a go. I mean, I've really enjoyed my time using it, and it's probably going to be a mouse that I'll stick with using for the next few weeks. Who knows, it could even be my main. I'm going to put another review on screen now that's of a similar shape and style that you might be interested in.